I came across this story. Actually, I heard Jason mention this on our news yesterday out of McGill, a study that suggests that just icing an injury may not be the best way to reduce pain and inflammation, which is something we have basically been doing. When he said we, he means me. I've been doing this because we were told years ago, you twisted an ankle or did something, you put ice on it, 15, 20 minutes, we're good to go. And then you could do that for a day or two, and then that was the end of it. This seems to suggest something different. So I thought we'd try to find out more. Lucas Lima is on the line. He's a research associate at McGill. And Jeffrey Mogil, who is also on this study. He's senior author of the study. They're both on the line. Gentlemen, thanks for being on today.
Thank you. Our pleasure.
Can I just ask, as I said, not just for me, but I think most people remembered back in the day, this is what we were told to do. I mean, people said, you know what, ice your injury, it'll reduce swelling, and that's a good thing to do. And you're suggesting that perhaps that's not a good thing to do, or is the idea in this study that it's not a good thing to do for too long?
Well, I think what we're saying is that it seems to be a reasonable thing to do in the short term, but at a long-term cost. So in our study, icing definitely killed pain right after it was applied. But in mice where the pain should have lasted for a week to 2 weeks, the icing ended up having the pain last for 3, 4, 5 weeks instead. So it worked short term, but it made things worse in the long term.
So I fully understand. So you use this short term, and yes, it obviously, it reduces the pain because it numbs the area, right? It's ice. Is the idea you can still do that for a day or two and then just stop, or should you not be doing this at all? I'm trying to understand.
No, well, we think especially this very first stage, within a few hours or the very first few days after the injury is very crucial. So that's exactly where we need the inflammation to take place and trigger the healing of the tissue. So icing at that time period would be the most detrimental.
Wow, okay. And is that because you're stopping blood flow by applying the ice, and what you want to do is encourage blood flow? Why would that be the case?
What you want to encourage, believe it or not, is inflammation. Now, we realize inflammation is the thing that's causing the pain, and inflammation is the thing that everyone wants to stop because then the pain would go away. But the inflammation is happening for a reason. And what the inflammation is doing is getting your immune system to heal the injury and start processes that are going to end up resolving the pain permanently. If you interfere with that inflammation, by icing, for example, you're preventing all this stuff that's supposed to happen from happening.
Okay, but at the same time, you see, this is the quandary here. Forget about ice. You're taking aspirin or you're taking, an anti-inflammatory to deal with that. So the suggestion is you shouldn't be doing that either.
That's exactly right. And we published a paper in 2022 showing exactly that steroid use or non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, things like aspirin, again, they work in the short term, but they increase the risk of pain lasting a long time. And in that study, it wasn't only in mice, it was also in people with back pain.
So let me take this, if I can, by extension. There are people now, this has become a pretty big deal, people sitting in ice baths, right? Is that of any use at all, or is that just prolonging pain as well?
Well, it will be prolonging pain as well. And I think the most common use of those ice baths is immediately after a very intense exercise. In our study, we had a similar model where mice go through intense exercise and then they have pain. And in this model as well, icing made the pain last double the time, the usual time.
Wow, so that's out the window now, too, based on this. What about cryotherapy? People are, want to come back in 100 years from now, we put them in a deep freeze. Is that not a good idea either?
Well, I think that's different.
That's different? Okay.
But you are right that it's bad news. I remember our original study when we found out the answer, and I told my mother, and she was absolutely livid. She was like, "Well, what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do?" And there is one thing that is safe to do, and that's Tylenol.
Tylenol.
And also in the study, we tested a new method that is becoming popular, which is contrast therapy. In this one, we alternate cold and heat, and in that case, our results show that the one is safe. You have benefits of reducing pain, but there is no long-term detrimental effect.
But wait a sec, I'm now further confused. Why is Tylenol okay, but aspirin isn't?
Yeah, because Tylenol is an analgesic. It kills pain, but it's not an anti-inflammatory. It doesn't do anything to inflammation. And it's not pain the thing. Pain is not the thing that is doing the damage. It's inflammation. And so if you can kill pain without stopping inflammation, that would be something that would work in the short term and also not have the detrimental effect in the long term.
And would the idea then, if you're now getting a green light to take Tylenol, to just keep taking it until that pain subsides? I mean, is there a downside to taking too much?
Absolutely. I mean, the other problem with these drugs, aspirin and Tylenol, is they have side effects. And sometimes pretty serious side effects. Those side effects, of course, are with chronic use. And our findings are really most relevant to new injuries. So the kind of thing where you would want to take it for a few days, maybe a week. The side effects come when you take these drugs over and over again for weeks and months and years.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that you tested this on mice, and I joked about this when I first heard the story yesterday, suggesting that, I don't know a lot of mice, with sprained knees or bad ankles, and how did you make this work? But I will add, from what I read, the results of your study, right, are not directly applicable to humans yet, right? So this is preclinical. How much of that should we be concerned with?
Right. So you're absolutely right that, mouse research has a long history of not always translating to humans. We're somewhat more confident about the translational applicability in this particular case because this is a direct offshoot of a study where we found exactly the same thing in mice and people. This is just another way of blocking inflammation. And so we're pretty confident that this is going to be true in humans. But of course, you can't know that for sure unless you run a clinical trial. And so we're currently running such a clinical trial to see what icing does to the duration of pain after wisdom tooth extraction. Oh,
okay. Because that, of course, would be something to do with pain. You put that ice pack on your face, I guess, right, to kill that.
Put the ice pack on your cheek, exactly. Right. And normally the pain goes away in 3-4 days, and we're going to see if icing prolongs that or shortens it. Okay.
Listen, we'll talk again. I should tell you, a lot of people are very concerned that mice, have been put through a strenuous physical test here, as you're suggesting, right? I don't know what you do. What do you speed up the wheel? How does that work?
No, they just have to run on a wheel for 2 hours, but they do it
2 hours?
Yeah.
They actually really, really like it.
Lucky they didn't die. Okay, gentlemen, I thank you so much. This is interesting. I hope we can follow up on this. Lucas Lima, Jeffrey Mogil over at McGill. Thank you, guys. Look, to be fair, as I said, when this first came up, and I said seems a bit unfair to mice. So I thought, because, to be fair, I reached out, we did, for this story to the International Federation of Mice and received this audio statement from their president, Gerald Mouse. Brian?
I have recently become aware of the study in which members of my community were subjected to ice packs and muscle injury protocols in the name of sports medicine research. First, with the greatest respect to the researchers involved, I would like to raise a procedural concern. When was the last time you saw a mouse pull a hamstring or turn an ankle?
Fair.
Our musculature bears approximately zero resemblance to the injury-prone, poorly maintained muscle tissue of your average middle-aged human male. Might I therefore suggest, with the greatest scientific humility, that a more appropriate test subject might have been found? What about cats as an example? After all, they spend most of the day in states of aggressive leisure, punctuated by brief explosive bursts of activity, which I believe is remarkably similar to the lifestyle of most of the humans your research is designed to help. Which brings me to my broader point. I have been authorized to speak on behalf of the International Federation of Mice to formally request that the scientific community reconsider its long-standing tradition of using mice as its default research subject for human studies. That decision needs re-examination. We do not have sports injuries. We do not get the same diseases you do. And our life expectancy of 2 years makes long-term studies somewhat philosophically fraught. Cats, on the other hand, have 9 lives. So the opportunities for longitudinal research are practically unlimited. Thank you for your attention to this matter, and please pass the cheese.
All right, so there you go. Thank you. Very well spoken, I think, right? Representing the International Federation of Mice, not real happy with this type of study.
The newest tracks. Let's go. New music. And the next big thing.
Always on the new music first.
Your first place to hear it all.
'Cause you gon' like it, love it, wanna play it twice. Playing now.
iHeart New Music. your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers.
I think we need something new.
Discover iHeart New Music. Always fresh, always first. Stream now on the free iHeartRadio app.